What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to techn00bians, the only show where you get black game developers talking about game development. It's not the only place, but it's the main place you should go to get that.
It's the only place. Come on now.
Only place. This is your weekly deep dive into video games covered in blackness. I'm your host, Chuck. With me, we have Shanae,
Yo, folks.
Cherie,
Hey everyone.
and Travis.
Yeah, what it do?
For those that don't know, techn00bians is a weekly video game podcast, live stream podcast, hosted by black technology professionals. All of us are in game development. We don't have any other black technology professionals. We probably need to find some somewhere. I'm sure they're out there. I'm sure they're out there.
Cherie is a black game professional. I mean, black
I'm
development
not in gaming
professional.
anymore, but it's
we,
close to my heart.
we had to get somebody not tainted by black gaming.
There
Black
you
gaming.
go. I am tainted, so
She is tainted. She suffers from the blackness of game development.
Wow.
But talking about that, we're gonna go off the topic here. We're going to completely off topic. Ta-Nehisi Coates is writing a Black Superman film. How do you feel about that, Travis? How do you feel about that? Let me know how you feel. Black Superman. Does he have a cane?
No, I feel all right with that. And it's not just because I'm wearing a Batman shirt today, actually. But
Can we have a white Batman? Oh, we have that already.
yeah, we do.
Uh,
Uh,
but no, his suit is black though.
but look, here's the thing, and
blackface man.
I spent a lot of wasted hours this week actually combating white fragility over the fact that there's a black Superman movie in the works. Now, here's what I don't understand. Superman has been white since 1938. Okay,
Yep.
it's already a Jesus allegory. It's already a Jesus story,
Mhm.
right? Um, and he's been white the whole time. But if you talk to anyone about DC Comics in particular, they liken their Justice League in particular
Uh-huh.
to
Uh-huh.
mythos, to
Uh-huh.
mythology,
Mhm.
right? And if they're truly gods, then it doesn't matter what color they are,
Yeah.
right?
True.
Um,
Also, Jesus was black, so
yeah,
Yeah.
true that,
Yeah.
right? So,
Yeah. So yeah.
well,
There's
let's
Jesus and white
let's
Jesus.
tamp down that a little bit and just say that he wasn't white. you know, he was definitely not white. So, in any case, my point is that, you, and you hear all these arguments, like why can't they just make a black,
A new character or
main
something.
character.
Mhm.
You have some people who remember Milestone Comics, for example, who says, "Why don't you just make an Icon movie? Because Icon is Black Superman." But there are actually Black Supermen.
Yeah.
Calvin Ellis,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
who is Cal El, who,
Mhm.
which he was in an alternate Earth. He was Superman.
Mm-hmm.
There's also Val Zod, who is also a Black Superman, totally in the comics. So when these propeller heads or these outspoken nerds
Mm-hmm.
go, "There's no Black Superman," uh,
I
clearly
think
you
there
haven't
is.
been reading comics, right? And so I guess my point is that when you have so many of these Superman movies, is it really going to hurt you so much that this one is black? Like, we just had an off-brand Joker that won an Oscar,
Mm.
right?
Yes.
Mm.
Like, chill the hell out, people. It
Yeah,
was
but
pretty good.
whenever you have anything that has to do with any kind of race bending, gender bending, anything, people lose their minds.
Yep.
Well,
Well,
People
people
flip
also look
out.
at it and they say, well, what's the reason why he has to be black? Right? Like,
Mhm.
race doesn't matter, race doesn't bother me, but why black kind of thing. And like we can go delve into the history of the character. We can delve into the creation of Superman in 1938, and we can talk about how black folks were not full citizens of this country, and
Yeah.
that's why so many of the characters that we grew up like know and love, grew up watching and reading,
Mm-hmm.
were all white. It wasn't because whiteness was like, you look at the character checklist of like the things that define a character. It's like, justice, the American way, and white. Like that's not one of the things on Superman's
No,
list.
no.
That was just that was something that came about as like, that was a situation of the times. Like we can go back and talk about America's racist history. I really sort of prefer, this is where I get to be Star Trek nerdy a little bit.
Go ahead, hit us with it.
Infinite diversity and infinite combinations.
Yep.
We have this exact same conversation that comes up every single time somebody, like when Heimdall was black, that came up. When they made Tuvok black, that came up. Like it keeps coming up over and over and over again. I would like to hear a new conversation, please.
Right.
At the very least. And then you also have people looking to say, well, if Superman can be black, then why can't we have a white Martin Luther King? And that's not an honest conversation.
Because that is a fictional character with an actual living human being.
And likewise, a living human being.
And there's plenty of representation for white characters, white superheroes, whatever, even whether they're fictional or real.
And likewise, Martin Luther King's entire deal was fighting for the rights and humanity of black people, not of just like a fictional thing. Like he specifically talked about black folks and what it was like to live and grow up in Jim Crow. So, I would love for us to engage in this with like non-disingenuous arguments. And also, I will be in the theater watching Black Superman whenever that comes out. But I just have to go back and say, by the way, Ta-Nehisi Coates is one of my favorite authors.
Yeah, he's amazing.
He is amazing. I got introduced to him through his political writing, and then when I heard him like, oh, by the way, I'm writing Black Panther, I'm like, what? My two nerdy interests of politics and games and comics and stuff are now converging. I love what he's done in that space, and I think he will do it right.
Yeah, he'll do a great job with it.
I think what he does really well is he a lot of times when people ask you how you feel about something, right? And you're so caught up in the moment of those feelings. You're so caught up in the fact that you're feeling, this pain or this resentment or this hurt, that it's hard for you to actually articulate, to someone very succinctly, like what the problem is, right? And I appreciate his writings because that's exactly what he does.
Yes.
Right? He says, this hurt that you're feeling, this is why. And every time I read something that he wrote, I feel the same way. I go, damn, that's exactly what I thought. But you made it elegant.
Elegant, yeah, eloquent.
Yeah.
He's an eloquent writer.
Yeah, he's brilliant. I've been fortunate to see him twice. One time they did an interview with him right before they showed Black Panther.
Wow.
Which was amazing. He's an amazing writer. I mean, I know that he's been a little bit more out of like the the mainstream spotlight lately, which I always miss. But I always love reading everything he writes, because he does have such he does, like you said, Travis, he has an amazing way of like capturing your emotions and putting them into like the most, capturing them so concisely and putting them into the most eloquent like writing that you'll read on it. So
he manages to
somebody's microphone is sounding weird.
We're getting some double microphone on your side. Sure.
Yeah.
But it's like,
can y'all hear me okay?
You can hear you fine now.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Hold on. No, you're double echo.
Yeah, you might need to.
I'll be right back. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think it's absolutely wonderful. So I can't wait to see what he says. I think that he does a fantastic job of grounding stuff in reality, because he has such a thorough and well-tested understanding of racial politics, of political systems, of like just political intrigue that sort of drives society. And he brings that to his writing, which makes it feel real, which makes it feel authentic, which makes it feel all those good things. And it makes the characters feel real.
Agreed.
And it gives you a depth that moves out of the sort of sense of like that stereotypical comic booky sort of thing.
Yep.
That people often talk about. So.
Yep.
And I guess the last thing I'll say is that Superman is a stranger in a strange land. You see what I'm saying? And I can't think of a more elegant and appropriate metaphor for Black men in America. And having someone like him actually pen that, makes me feel like that's an exciting tale to tell,
Yep.
right? Um, and the best Superman stories that I've always read weren't the ones where he sticks his fist in his problems. Um, if you watch like the new Superman and Lois, for example,
Mm-hmm.
more compelling parts of that Superman tale are the fact that he can't put his fist in the problem that his son thinks he doesn't love him, right? So how does he deal with that, right?
Mm.
So yeah, so it'll be interesting.
Yeah, and the other Superman tell he couldn't fix with his fist was knowing that he had a clone son out there, and he behaved like a deadbeat dad.
Yeah,
He's like, that ain't my son. The kid just
I'm
wanted to be
excited.
loved. He was like, I don't know that kid.
I'm excited. You know, it's often been hard for me to get excited about Superman as a character and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why like that. This is my the thing that gets me like really interested in what Superman is, because the thing that's interesting about Superman isn't Superman; it's Clark Kent.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That's the story that people can connect with, and so if he can
Mm-hmm.
write Clark Kent, Superman as Clark Kent instead of as his his alter ego, and I trust he can.
Yep.
That's I think going to be a really powerful connecting story.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, we got another story to hit on today, you guys.
Oh, do we?
Oh yeah,
The most epic
it
story.
may be the trial of the century.
is it epic in nature?
Yeah, it's epic in nature. It's
Go
unreal
on.
too. It's unreal at the same time. It's like eating the forbidden fruit known as the apple.
Oh,
So many bad puns. I could do this all day. I could do dad puns all day long. I could do dad puns all day. If you didn't know and you haven't caught up, you've been under a rock for the last week. Epic and Apple have gone to battle in the court system. And on day one, the CEO, Tim Sweeney, was like, I'm going to take the stand. He took a stand on the first day as the CEO and was like, Tim Cook, where you at? Where you at, son? I'm here. I'm here. I'm here. This is Sparta. That's what he did. This is Sparta.
yeah, but you got to have a big foot to kick Tim Cook down the hole, man.
And, hey, the Apple's campus is a big tube. He kicked him in the middle
Yeah,
of the campus.
yeah.
This is Sparta.
This is a
So
crazy.
can
Like
you
this
explain
is
a little? Yeah,
why
can someone explain a little bit
Okay.
more about like what the actual thing is for between Epic and Apple?
Let's start from the beginning when Epic was like, hey, you can come onto our site, you can go anywhere and buy V-Bucks and spend them on any platform for the game on Fortnite. So if people don't know, Epic owns Fortnite. They're also the makers of the Unreal Engine, which Fortnite is built on, and they created a cross-play video game. Apple initially agreed to allow this video game to be cross-play on their platform with PC and any other platform. Sony and Nintendo were like, nah, not so much. Not so much. You're not coming on our platform cross-playing. Our platform is locked for our games and for people, our customers, and people to use our systems. Apple was like, oh, we don't care, whatever. You can cross platform, whatever. What they weren't ready for was Epic to launch a game store and sell their V-Bucks at a cheaper price. So there's the consumers can go buy the V-Bucks at the Epic store and then go spend them in the Apple store, and Apple gets 0% of that money. Zero.
And as Bill Duke would say, you see, that's when you effed up.
That's when you effed up. That is when he said that. That's when you effed up. And more or less, even if Apple allows you to have in-store game purchases, they get a piece of that.
Yeah.
You know, they're definitely the most expensive club to play on.
Hmm.
$30 to enter, then $30 to purchase anything, and you got to use their credit card.
Hmm.
You can't even use your own credit card. When basically that's the analogy I'm making with it. And so Apple was like, we're going to pull you out the store if you don't concede to us and allow us to run the store and get our 30%. So Epic was like, Tim Sweeney did as some Michael Jackson movie. Was like, come on. He's Michael Jackson. And,
moonwalk.
yeah,
He moonwalked to the court.
come on. Yeah, he did. And they pulled Fortnite out of the store. And
Mhm.
this, and within like 30 minutes later, they remade the 1984 Apple commercial, then Fortnite throwing the hammer into the screen.
Okay. Now I got to push back a little bit on that.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
First of all, if you watch that video,
Uh-huh.
there's no way in hell they did that fast. They
No, they released it with
They
a
were
very-
ready. They were
definitely
ready.
were ready.
That's what I'm
They
saying.
knew
They were
exactly.
ready.
They were picking a fight.
They knew
I
they
mean,
were
they
picking
knew,
a
they knew
fight.
what fight they were getting into.
They
Yeah.
knew. No. Let's do an actual Tim Cook quote. Where's the fireworks quote?
While you're looking that up, Charles, I think the thing that's super interesting about this
Uh-huh.
entire thing is how much stuff, what the implications it's going to
Okay,
have. For
we're
the
gonna
gaming
get there because this is where it gets
Yeah.
good. Because
Yeah.
this is what Tim Cook said, you guys.
Mhm.
You'll enjoy the upcoming fireworks show once they
Yep.
pulled out. That's what he
Oh,
said.
yeah. Like Epic knew
Oh,
what they were getting
and-
into. with
Let me-
this.
let me-
Like,
and-
they-
Just an update. I think that might have been Tim Sweeney that
Tim
said
Sweeney.
that.
Tim Sweeney. That's
Yeah,
right. Tim
yeah.
Sweeney said not Tim Cook. The other
Yeah.
Tim in this.
The other
The
Tim.
other
Tim
in
and
this
Tim.
fight.
Tim
The
versus Tim.
billionaire Tim, not the trillionaire.
Yeah, not the
Tim.
trillionaire Tim. Yeah, we gotta.
So
Yeah.
Look, I
you'll enjoy the upcoming fireworks.
I'm just
Show.
wondering, right? Like in the grand scheme of things,
Mm-hmm.
who cares?
Mm-hmm.
From a player standpoint, right? Because you got Epic saying, "Oh, this is for the players. It's for the players,"
Mhm.
right? Now, Apple, I really haven't heard what Apple, what Apple's sort of take on this is, who it's for other than Apple, but it is.
Also does claim for it to be sort of for the players as well because they want to be able to control the ecosystem and protect people.
Yeah,
Like they want that's they have a different for the players angle.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's but to me, it looks like the billionaires are mad at the trillionaires.
Yeah, it is. That's what
Um,
it is.
And everyone else who sort of works a 9 to 5 is like, I don't care.
I don't care. Yeah.
But you should.
All I want is the cheapest version to get the games because I don't make
Yeah,
$1 billion.
And I think what's been going on lately, or what is at stake here, really is digitally, like what that last mile looks like to
Mhm.
you, right? Like what that last mile looks like. Where do you get this from? Because once upon a time, it was shelf space, right? Us in video games, we would talk about um, what was your cover piece for your
Yep.
game,
Yep.
like and what it was supposed to do is it's supposed to make people grab it and flip it over to the back where you had all your bullet points, right? Where people be like, this, why you like the game. Oh, let's quibble about the screenshots and all this other kinds of stuff. That was a real conversation, right? Now it's completely different. I mean, everything is digital now. Everything is digital, and the rules are changing. The rules are changing quickly,
Yeah.
right?
Very quickly.
And I think that what you're seeing here is this grab for that last mile. And I'm personally sort of, I got a little anxiety about it, right? Because let's be real here. I mean, I think about how screwed your day is when your phone is messed up,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because you got either got Apple or Google Pay on it, right? It's your phone, it's your GPS. It's so many people's lives are
It's your
centered around
brain.
that bit of technology that that's why Apple is a $1 trillion company now, because there's probably no part of your life that it's not affecting.
Yep. I mean, the
Yeah.
people may be on more Android OSs, but there's more iPhones in the market than any other phone.
Yeah, I think there's more users on Android,
Mhm.
but if
There's
you look
more.
statistically, like
More
all the
iPhones.
money, is definitely on the Apple side.
Apple side, yeah. Even
Yeah.
the number of phones.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
and
actual
the
phones.
reason why I think this is like for folks who like this is a really complicated case that's
Mhm.
going on. Like it's
Mhm.
if
You think
if
it's about games, it's
it's
not.
super complicated. It's not about games. It's about the way in which we get games. It's about the way in which we consume the product afterwards.
Speak on it.
It's
That's how
about
we pay.
it's about how we pay for it. And so it's got a lot of widespread widespread repercussions, regardless of who winds up prevailing. Like it's going
Mm-hmm.
to affect the industry. It's going to affect like what we do, what platforms you can buy stuff on. Can you play cross platform? It's going to affect, like Travis talked about, that last mile. Can you only buy games through the App Store or through the
Yes.
Apple App Store, or
Yes.
are they going to require them to put other methods of being able to purchase games directly on there? It's going to also, like, the other thing I think is really interesting about this, and it's like I said, it's there's so many people who are live tweeting this thing. It is hard to follow, and it's just kind of wild. But it is also, it is sort of airing the industry's dirty laundry a
It
bit
is.
too.
Yes.
What
Like
is
there's
what
so
is
many companies that are caught up in this right now. You know,
Yes. And
like you
everybody's
were,
throwing everybody under the bus.
yeah, you've already seen people who testified from not only from Epic, obviously, and Apple, from I think uh,
Xbox.
Mi-
from
Microsoft.
Microsoft. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Xbox has folks testifying. There's
Mm-hmm.
mentions of a wide variety of other game studios that may or may not want their name mentioned in this courtroom. There's been binder. If you keep seeing people talk about binders, there's binders and binders and binders
So
of
people.
heavily redacted documents.
Yes. Yes.
I think
Let's be.
someone described it as maddeningly redacted documents
I
And
have a prediction.
stuff as well.
what's up?
I have a prediction.
What's your prediction?
What's your prediction?
Okay, and this is the reason why it's matrix in the background here, right? Because it's this one term that I think is going to even out all of this, and it's the one that we throw around a lot. It's
I was
that
gonna say it too.
First.
I was gonna actually hit on that. Yeah,
right?
that's what Tim
Because
Sweeney says.
yeah,
That's the problem. This stops the metaverse.
because what's happening is we're not going to be able to afford to bifurcate our digital life in the way that companies would like us to. It's going to be it's going to be impossible going forward, right?
Mm-hmm.
It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense because, for example, like if when you're buying games in particular, right? Um, it's sort of like buying a movie to some degree, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which I think is going to affect this as well, right? Like if I buy it on iTunes, for example, right? Am I buying the right to play it on an Apple device, or am I actually buying that media, right? Because if I'm
Mm-hmm.
buying that media, that MP4, then I should be able to play that wherever the hell I want to,
Wherever you want.
right?
Absolutely.
So if I'm buying, Fortnite, and I'm buying things on Fortnite, okay, wherever there is Fortnite, I should be afforded
Yeah.
that opportunity to actually spend that money or enjoy that content how I please.
Mm-hmm.
So I think probably what's going to happen first is that uh, Apple probably will win the first round,
Mm.
right? And then people will see what this leads to, which will lead to endless
Mm-hmm.
appeals, which everyone will be like, okay, we finally get it, right? Because I think that that's the problem is that we are technology is moving so fast,
Mm-hmm.
right? That we don't know the repercussions.
We don't. We have no
Okay?
idea.
And it's only when we're told we can't do something, right? Do
Mm-hmm.
we realize how ridiculous that is because of XYZ?
Yes.
That's
Yes.
something else I think is really interesting in watching these proceedings take place, because it's so esoteric. It is so inside baseball for video game development
Mm-hmm.
that there are, like, I would not expect most consumers, or even many of the game journals, I would not expect them to have like a decent like understanding of like all the stuff that's being thrown back and forth, and the repercussions and the implications of all of this stuff. And
Yeah.
we even see that from the lawyers. We even see that from the lawyers and the judge, and some of the very, and even some of the major players that are involved, and some of the language that's being used. My favorite poll quotes from it was when someone asked they asked what a game was, because there's this conversation about
Yep.
whether or not one of the reasons the Epic Game Store app is not being allowed is because it's a marketplace that allows for other games to be up there. And they challenged it and said, well, I see Roblox is up there, I see Minecraft's up there, and they said, well, those aren't marketplaces, they don't have games on them. Roblox is not a game, which got a whole bunch of people like being like, wait a second, it does have games on it. Like,
It
it's a game,
does.
it's a platform that allows other games. And they said, no, that's not a game. Those are experiences. And I said, well, what's a game? And the current definition per Apple's lawyer is a game has a beginning and an end and challenges. So y'all,
Mm.
the
How is
definition
the
of the
game?
game. Uh World of Warcraft,
Not a game.
It's
not a
not a
game.
game.
I think
But
Activision because it
You can
might.
make that argument.
You might argue against that.
yeah,
Most books now are games. Y'all,
yeah.
Yes.
Most books are
beginning and
games.
challenges. Movies also often
No,
games. Marvel movies are now games. We
no.
can
The coin term cross wallet. You can
cross
just have a
wallet.
wallet. It's a cross wallet. So it's a wallet
Yeah.
that you have you can take digitally. And this is one of the things somebody brought up is like, if I have a credit card in America, I can use that credit card in France. So why can't I
Yep.
use that credit card on Xbox and use that credit card on PlayStation? They're like, well,
Mhm.
you can do that. Like them V-Bucks are a credit card. No,
Mhm.
they're not. They're a wallet. They're
Mhm.
a cross wallet. They're the
Mm.
cash inside the wallet. So,
Mhm.
man, we're changing definitions of words. The whole
Yeah.
society's about to blow up on this
Yeah,
case.
Mhm.
It
yeah. What it
changes
shows is
everything.
that like you know
Hmm.
our regulation and our laws are not they are not
They're
keeping up
not there.
with the technology. We can barely keep up with the technology because
Yeah.
it is rapidly changing.
And to be honest, that's one of the things I'm like most concerned about. Is, like you were just talking about it, like when you hear the way the lawyer just
Hmm.
define what a game is, you know,
You're like, what?
you have a lot of people in there.
Podcasting is a game.
Podcast
Podcasting is a
content.
game.
I mean, to be honest, like there's really no excuse for Apple's lawyer not really having a handle on like understanding gaming. That's a separate issue. But like lots of the times we know that there's going to be a judge or that's going to be making a determination, and that person's not necessarily going to have like a great handling about all this
Nope.
terminology. They're not steeped in all of this stuff. So the concern that I have is this a decision that comes out. It's going to be an overarching decision, which regardless of which way it goes, and there's going to be huge consequences
Huge.
beyond the gaming world,
Yep.
huge consequences. And then they got to go back later and try and clean stuff up because there's going to be so many things that were not accounted for or not thought of or whatever. So it makes me a little anxious to see like what this is, where we're going to go with this. I think of
Yeah.
it, I compare it to like privacy legislation because GDPR got invoked in like I think there was like a message from like Tim Sweeney to was it the Sony head? I can't remember.
Sony is the PlayStation.
Yeah. And they invoked like GDPR, which is like a huge privacy
I would say,
legislation.
can you explain what
Yeah,
GDPR is to
please.
folks? Because most
Yeah.
folks do not know what GDPR. And by the way, part of the reason why Cherie can explain this is because of what her job is, which I'm not even going to attempt to explain. Can you tell people what your job is and tell them what GDPR is?
Yes.
Please.
Yeah. So a lot of what my job is about is about data security and also privacy. GDPR is a general data protection regulation
Hmm.
over in the EU. And really what it's about is how companies manage your data, like and your privacy around it, basically, right? So like it has all these specific like clauses that say companies that do like large scale data processing have to allow you like you can ping Facebook right now and be like, hey, send me all the information that you have on me, and they have to comply with it because they are considered a large scale data organization.
Hmm.
That's why like Google, Facebook, all these big players were like very concerned when this law came out because GDPR has very high penalties if you don't comply with it. So it says things like you cannot collect data from people. You have to do data minimization, right? So you can't just collect data from people for no great reason. You have
Yeah.
to minimize the amount of data you're using. You have to allow people to determine how they want their data processed. So like I might be okay with like Google having my information, but if I'm like, I
Mm.
want you to stop processing it, they have to figure out a way to stop processing it. And the reason I mention it, that law is an example because a lot of other countries and stuff like that have been copying it, is because obviously that law was crafted and with great intentions and stuff like that. But if you think about it, a company as big as Google can create a division to be able to manage that. But
Mm-hmm.
a tiny company that still has to that has does business in the EU now has to comply and put all these functions in place to make sure they comply with these protection regulations. And I'm not saying they shouldn't, but I mean because privacy, I mean gosh, data is like the number one commodity in the world.
Yep.
We have seen
Forever.
implications.
Forever and a day.
We have seen the implications of it. So I'm not
Hmm.
saying that they shouldn't have these regulations and stuff around it. I'm just saying like we need to think very very critically about the impact of it because I mean there's a huge fallout for it. For GDPR, the consequence of companies not complying with it is I think it's 20%.
of your GDP or
Oh.
20 million euros, whichever is higher. It actually says
Yes.
whichever is higher. Excuse me,
Higher.
4%. It's 4%, but it actually says whichever is higher.
Yes.
That's your fine.
Yes.
Oh
So
wow.
yeah,
It's,
there are
it's
huge implications.
it's funny because as I start to peel some of these layers away, like here's what I think this court case is boiling down to is how much are digital items really worth, right? That's really what it boils down to. And we're seeing that is quite a bit.
Quite a
Yeah.
bit.
Right?
Yeah.
You've got everyone doing now, all your Bitcoin stuff, all your NFTs and so on and so forth, right? And what's happening is we're realizing that we're now in this market where we actually give a damn about these digital items, right? Whatever those digital items might be.
Uh,
And because of that, okay, if I buy these digital items, I want to take them other places wherever I want to. I want to buy them. Say I don't want to buy my coat from Sears. I want to buy my coat from Burlington. Okay, then I should be able to do that, and I shouldn't have to be naked going into TJ Maxx because I bought my coat from Sears. Right? I
yeah.
mean, seriously, that's
Yeah.
really what we're dealing with,
It,
right?
I,
Is that's the deal? Is wherever I decide that I'm going to park my digital self and collect my digital items that I have procured, I don't feel like I need to go rebuy them some other place.
yes.
What I'm saying,
Yes.
and
My big concern here, by the way,
just because you have my car, like I bought my car from you, right? Doesn't mean that you own everything that's attached to my car.
everywhere I'm going to. The
Yeah.
big concern I have from what you just said a second ago, Travis, is that if you're not wearing a coat, then you're just naked underneath, apparently, because you don't.
Well,
wear
that's how I roll. That's
Yeah. Okay. All right. That was my
No,
takeaway.
but also, I
from
would
the
give
conversation.
I even go deeper than that, Travis. It's not even just
don't go
your
too deep. I mean,
your
I've only got on boot.
it's not just digital items. How much are the pixels
Yes.
that I've collected worth in whatever shape they come in?
Yes.
Those could be characters. It could be anything. I mean,
Yes.
like fonts. They could be literal
Absolutely.
words. How much is it worth? And why can I take those everywhere?
And it's
and why can I buy whatever I want on any platform?
Yeah, it's gone from being it's gone from being like, oh, this is nice, to shit just got real.
It just got real.
Like super real.
And you know who I feel for in this whole entire case? I feel for one person. Judge Yvonne Gonzalez Rogers. She's the kickoff. She's the jump off.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
She's been asking some she has a technical knowledge and stuff like that of this. Like she's far more technical knowledge than I would expect. Like,
of course she does. She's an Obama nomination. Come on.
Far more I expect from like your average layperson who's not in the game industry, right?
Yeah.
She's asking some good questions on this stuff. But like I said, it's really interesting because even though she and also the two lawyers clearly have some technical expertise, it's also clear that all three of them sort of don't quite speak the language of games.
They don't. They don't, because it's even beyond games. Because like Epic and Apple, it turned into Windows versus Xbox quick.
Also, apparently somebody in that courtroom thinks that Oregon Trail is an RPG.
Yes.
Like they defined RPG and said RPG role playing games like Oregon Trail, and I was like, that was the one you chose.
Wow. Wow, they have no idea where the world is. But the fact that Lori Wright hopped up there, and for people that don't know Lori Wright, she is the VP. I think she's senior VP or VP of Microsoft Xbox Business Development. And she sat there and was like, "Oh, Windows, my Windows and Xbox are completely different. Windows computers are different from what an Xbox is. An Xbox is not a computer. It's because a computer is a general use device." That means you can put a lot of things on it and do a lot of things on it. An Xbox is a specified device. You only do one thing, play games. And then Epic's lawyer was like, hold up. Can't you watch movies on the Xbox?
Okay.
What's the whole concept?
Can't you converse on the Xbox? Can't you type on the Xbox? Can't you search the internet on the Xbox?
Can't you also do all of those things on your phone too, by the way?
That's what Epic is saying, because Apple's saying that the iPhone is a specific device. It does one thing, And they were like, "Oh no, it doesn't. It does a
No, it
million
does
things.
many, many things.
Apps allow you to not all apps do one thing. Apps do many things." And I was like, "Well, the function is it holds apps and allows you to use apps." Then he's like, "How's that different from a computer then?"
Mhm.
I think there was one case like that Apple was pursuing because it was an event, and because you bought your
Hmm.
tickets on iPhone or something like that, they wanted a piece of it,
Yep. Yep.
Mhm.
right? And I'm like, oh my god, like this is, oh come on,
Yeah,
man,
and some of the
Typical.
like
conversation actually had like some of the conversation about this and about the pushback of like what things Apple thinks it has a right to. They sort of drew a delineation around um, digital goods versus physical goods.
Yep.
So, for example, they said, "Hey, if someone buys something on Amazon, we don't take a piece of that because we can't guarantee it's been delivered." That's the delineation they made. For a digital good, they can guarantee that a payment has been received because they control the payments and that a good has been delivered. But for physical goods, you could buy something like I could buy like, a stapler on Amazon and they have no idea if it actually arrives at my doorstep or not. So
mhm.
like whether or not that's the right kind of like delineation they should use, that's the one they're putting forward. And I'm pretty sure we'll probably like as the case goes on, we'll probably find some addition. This is like Phoenix
I
Wright. Like, did you see
I
this movie? Like,
mm-hmm,
objection! I just found an inconsistency
mm-hmm.
with
Yeah.
what you just
They
said.
did that to Lori Wright, right? Apple
Mhm.
said, we want to kick her whole entire testimony out, kick all of it out.
Yeah.
She's talking about things she didn't bring paperwork for. She can't prove that. She can't prove that Microsoft
they
is
they
operating
brought the
at a
paperwork,
loss.
but it was so heavily redacted
Yeah.
that it
Yeah.
was yeah.
But then we're beginning to see like Xbox's P&L also.
Yep.
It's just like it's
And then Apple turned around and looked at PlayStation and Nintendo and was like, "Y'all gonna let them do this to me? This affects you too. Y'all got to step up here and talk and support
and
me."
speaking of that, didn't so like because Sony just got a class action lawsuit as
Mm-hmm.
well, basically for the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Mm,
You know,
mm.
so
Mm-hmm.
this is when we're talking about like all these like widespread implications of this one lawsuit. Because I mean, it was like lawsuit central this week.
Mhm.
This ripple turns
Because
into a
Valve likewise,
tsunami.
I think Valve likewise has a
Yeah,
lawsuit that's pending,
Yep.
or
Valve
folks
I
were
think has
talking
it.
around it.
Yep.
Yeah,
Esteem.
And it seems like yeah, thank you. And it seems that everyone is sort of like everyone who's involved in those additional lawsuits, which sort of sprung off of this one, they're all deeply connected. But this Apple versus Epic thing, or Epic versus Apple, I don't know which one it is. Like it's going to be the sort of trial of the century in
Mm-hmm.
relation to everything else. Like depending on what gets determined for this one, that's going to impact all these other court cases. Probably not the other way
And people
around,
don't
right?
understand, like, Tesla should be shook up because now Tesla, it opens up their whole entire dashboard for anything that can go into there. That means people can modify the car engine with a program and an app. So I
Mm.
can take my Tesla, it goes 2.3 seconds to 60 miles an hour in 2.3 seconds. I can put an app on it to rev that sucker up to be less than a second and get it to 60 miles an hour. And you can't do anything about it. And I can pay for that app from somebody else. And that it comes right through your system.
and this is
Oh,
this is where we're
this
talking
is
about like those widespread implications. Because even
Mm-hmm.
like um in that mail, I think that was from Tim Sweeney to like Sony, they invoked GDPR in the mail because they were
Nice.
talking, because they were like, hey, I don't even know if what you guys are doing is legal because players are supposed to be able to take their data and it should be portable, which is one of the clauses for GDPR. It should be portable.
Mm-hmm.
They should be able to take it wherever they want. And so here's the argument is going to be made like, okay, just because I have as a company, give this data to a customer, um, do am I obligated to make it so that it's placed in some kind of format so they can port it into some other competing system?
like a universal format or
Matter of
something.
fact, you don't have to do that. What's going to happen is a third party company is going to do that for us.
That's
So,
true too.
so,
Yeah.
so when PlayStation says, "Nah, we're not going to build a Nintendo app," and Nintendo's like, "We're not going to build an app for PlayStation, so our games go over there." Somebody like one of us would be like, "I'll do that shit and sell it to you for $15, and you can play Mario on your PS5."
it's
All
yeah
emulators going everywhere.
yeah it's going to be crazy. I mean,
It's gonna
it's
go
it,
crazy.
it 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 really is. I mean, because this reminds me of like you remember how it was a punchline in almost every Norman Lear comedy that involved black people when someone said, "Can I use your phone?" and they said it better not be a long distance call; it better be a local call, right?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And now the thought of you actually paying for a long distance call sounds cute,
Yeah,
right?
it does. It's
Yeah.
weird.
And
What is it? Kids don't never
it's
heard
just
that
because,
terminology
yeah,
before.
and it's
Yeah.
just because it's just because that was the way they monetized their, the phone companies monetized things,
Mm-hmm.
and because of technology that became outdated, right? That
Hmm.
became something that it's just absurd now to think about, right? And I think that's what we're going to eventually get to.
Yeah.
We're going to get to the point where some of these things are just flat out absurd, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because of the fact that technology tells you can do otherwise.
This is the brilliance of Tim Sweeney and Epic. They know everything's going to cloud computing.
Yep.
So nobody will have anything on any hard drives in 5 to 10 years
Yep.
from now. So
Yep.
the moment it goes all cloud, we can put it on any device we want. Nintendo, you can't stop this. Sony, you can't stop this. You're just a vessel, and I can put whatever soul I want into that thing, and that's what it's gonna be. And guess what? You're going to have to suck it.
Absolutely.
You're going to have to
And
suck it up and live with it.
That this sounds like Mortal Kombat right now. We're talking like Shang Tsung is coming and just sucks the souls out of
That's
our
reverse
body.
basically
thing,
it's the
reverse thing.
smartest play we ever seen. People don't realize that. Like right now, you buy a game on PlayStation. Nah, now you don't have to. They're saying eventually it's all gonna be in one marketplace, and that is cloud computing.
Mm-hmm.
It's not even
Mm-hmm.
gonna be downloaded into the server. You're gonna be playing it on the screen.
Yeah,
And
so
when
don't
that
worry about them
happens,
console wars, y'all. Just don't even
yeah,
worry
it's
about
all
that
gonna
stuff.
die.
In like 5, 10 years,
Epic's
it's
like
like
we're going to kill it, and we're going to put it all in the metaverse. Because if you look at our platform, we got Kratos and Batman on the same platform with Travis Scott holding a concert.
mm-hmm.
You can come
Mm-hmm.
in and build buildings and shoot each other and dance all day long. Because we know that
Is
those are
that
the
on
three things you want to do in life. You want to dance, you want to shoot, and you want to build buildings. You know you're architecturally not sound, but they work.
Yeah, I mean it's scary and it's confusing, right?
Yeah.
It really is. Uh, so this is a crazy time to actually be a software developer, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
you've got to navigate this in a way that's fitting and proper. And if you're looking if you're looking forward, uh, you know you've got to you've got to figure out some way to navigate this so that
Uh-huh.
you can long endure, right?
Yep.
You really do, and being as agnostic as possible,
Mm-hmm.
uh, as a game developer, it's going to suit you well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Speaking of game development, Shanae, we talked about earning dirty laundries. So there's a company that apparently has a lot of dirty laundry online, and literally online,
Ooh,
because they ain't wearing the laundry at all. Apparently, I own
are
a
we
couple
talking?
of those games. I own a couple of those games because
Are
I
we talking
got
about itch.io?
yeah.
So this was a really
Uh-huh,
interesting. This was
uh-huh.
this was going into like that conversation when we talk about like who controls the gate, like
Mm-hmm,
who is the gatekeeper, or how many gatekeepers do we
mm-hmm,
allow there to be for um for any particular piece of content. And this is where itch.io got invoked as an um example of a application that allows other games to be bought on it, right?
mm-hmm.
And the way it was framed the way it was framed in the courtroom was deeply unfair. First of all, no one seemed to know how many games were on itch.io. They're like, oh, there's a few hundred games on there. I'm like, there's literally hundreds of thousands of games on
Hundreds of
itch.io.
thousands of games
Let's
on
calm
there.
down, right? But then they also described it as like, well, itch.io is a platform where you can get some truly just like unspeakable, like horribly sexualized violence, this, that, the other. And they basically just described like itch.io like it was just like a porn game platform, and that was it, which I think is probably a surprise to a whole lot of folks. Like it's an indie game platform that has hundreds of thousands of games with lots of different genres on it. And the way it's being phrased in the courtroom, the only thing you're focusing on the fact that it does have games that have sexualized content. Some of that sexualized content is, you know,
It,
it
it's
caters to, it's out there, right?
it's kind of like saying the Met Museum is a porn site.
It's like, yes, right,
The
because
Met
it
Museum's a
has a
porn site.
section of the sexualized content, so that
You know,
like it's all sexualized,
got a
or it's
bunch of
kind of
naked
like
babies
blaming
running around
like
the Met Museum. A bunch of naked babies. They have
it's like
incest in the
blaming
Met Museum.
Google for like the fact that like someone runs like has some like racy material on their website, and it's like, hey, Google allowed me to get to that racy material, so Google is responsible for it. So it's interesting, but the thing that caught everyone's mind and why it wound up just like blown up on the Twitters and stuff is because the way they were talking about this content sounded like someone talking like sounded like the way you talk to like a bunch of children. It's just they're like, well, there's this games that has this content, and it's just we can't even speak about what that content is. It's just so offensive. We can't even speak about it here. And so the phrase "unspeakable games," unspeakable games became
Is that trademarked?
a and I hope
That,
so.
that,
It's a
that's gonna be
phrase
my
to
game
work on.
company. That's gonna be my
Yeah.
game company. Unspeakable Games.
Yeah,
It's gonna be a
I
black
mean,
fist
like,
up like this. Unspeakable Games.
it actually posted, it put actually tweeted and said, hey everyone, Apple said games are illegal now. We have to take that off.
Unspeakable Games.
But my favorite is there's actually
and,
there's gonna
and
be an unspeakable game jam in
Unspeakable
June.
Game Jam.
Well,
Yes,
you know,
unspeakable.
what's funny, Shanae, and you'll find this funny too, because you used to work at Midway. They said that same shit about Mortal Kombat.
No, I'm sorry, you can't say midway. You have to say midway. That's the way.
Midway.
Midway.
Yes.
I'm on my midway. Like those are the ways.
Yes.
Unspeakable
It's like the
Games,
same
guys.
crap.
And the
Midway. We don't
tagline
go.
is "Shut your
We don't
mouth."
go all the way. We go the midway.
Indeed.
Oh Lord.
No,
Oh,
is
Lord.
in
But
case anyone's interested, the Unspeakable Game Jam, the game, the rule. There's I don't know if the rules have been solidified yet, but the rules have been publicized so far is that your game has to have a beginning and an end and
What
challenges.
challenges? Oh, okay. Now it's a game.
So if you make a porn game that never ends, and
Not
you
a
call
game.
it,
Nope.
for example, you call it "Keep It Coming,"
Oh no.
and
This is
again,
an E for everyone
E for,
podcast.
it is. This is E for everyone game.
This is not an itch.io podcast.
For everyone.
But that's the
Um,
game.
That's the
See,
game.
I just took it there. See, and it never ends. It's for
Beginning
everlasting ending. It never
and-
ends.
I can't.
Make sure there are challenges in it, though. Okay.
Oh, there's challenges, all right.
Yeah. Okay.
Is it
There's-
2 o'clock yet, y'all? I'm in trouble.
But that game exists,
But-
right? So it's not technically a game if I don't have an
Not a
ending.
game.
You know, the thing I think
I-
also
look.
interesting about this is I know that Epic was using the fact that they allowed itch.io on their store,
Yeah.
you know, as kind of basically some of the justification whether like Apple should allow us on, you know, on their store.
Mhm.
But like didn't like Epic just allowed itch.io on there. It's not like it's not like it's been on there for years. Like they let them on there like 2 weeks ago. And, hey, look, we got an example.
You know,
That's how you set it up, baby. That's how.
it's okay. This trial has a beginning. It will have an end, and there are challenges.
It's a game.
This trial is a game, y'all.
I bet you Yvonne's up there just shaking her head like these old ass men have no idea what they're talking about.
Well, I mean,
I go home and talk to my grandson every day, and he schools me everything they're saying here, and they're wrong.
Can I add one thing real quick too? Because like one of the things that I think
Mhm.
is really interesting about this, you know, we all make games. We've been making games for
Mhm.
a bajillion years. Travis especially, and and you know, we often joke about how not serious our jobs are, right? Like I used to tell folks, part of the reason why I go by Shanae T. Bryant is because there's another Shanae Bryant out there, and she saves people's lives, and I'm like, I just make video games. But the thing is, like, what this gives us sort of a window into, and what this gives everyone a window into is, yeah, video games, when we say it's a business, and there's a lot of money tied up in this. There's a lot of money, there's a lot of technology, there's a lot of
Mhm.
lives, there's a lot of
Mhm.
there's a lot built up in this. So yeah,
Yes.
it's fun in games, but it's also like a literal a billion-dollar industry that has the potential of becoming a trillion-dollar industry in the next couple of years too.
Yes,
So
a couple of
people
years, like
wondering-
2.
yeah,
Like
so
literally
especially
2
with the
years.
pandemic too.
Uh
Like
huh.
video games did
Yeah.
do well during
Mhm.
the pandemic just by the nature of like software development.
And did
on a very real tip,
Mhm.
like games and pornography
built
push
internet.
technology.
Yeah, to the limits.
They do, and so that's why you're seeing this, right? And honestly, it's one of those things where we're exposed to this because we've been here since this since this has really jumped off into, like, democratization of distribution, avenues, that like, you're just a link away from getting what you want. Right? You really are, right? It's not like you have to drive to Kathmandu. It's not like you have to do anything other than double click or sometimes point. Hell, you don't even have to do that if you know how to tell Alexa or Siri what to do. You can speak it into existence. I mean, that's how close you are to getting any of this digital content from where it is to where you are,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so because of that, okay, there needs to be new rules, and I don't even know what those rules are yet. I don't think anyone does, and I think what this court case ultimately is going to do, at least in my opinion, is really cement how collectively screwed we are.
Yeah. 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 I think
Watch. Watch.
I honestly think, let's keep watching. We got 2 more weeks of this. We can talk about it. All we know is this is the court. It has so many implications across everything digital, but
Yeah.
everything in your life, period.
Charles, what I heard right there,
Hmm.
you said there's 2 more weeks. Do you mean there's a fortnight?
Oh,
Oh, there is. Oh, there is a Fortnite.
I think you should log off now, Sinead.
Shanae,
Bye,
It's not
everybody.
gonna, it's
just
not gonna
drop
get
your
better than that.
microphone. Pick your microphone and
Yeah,
drop
it's
it
not
off
gonna
the
get any
side.
better than that. I think you just need to take a Yeti and just
Oh,
throw it down.
Y'all,
yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh,
I was
yeah.
waiting the entire time for that, just so
Yeah,
y'all know.
I was holding on to that. But it's gonna be interesting. Lori Wright,
I'm
because
I'm so
honestly,
mad I didn't come up with that.
You're so mad, aren't
really
you?
upset. Yeah,
So
I'm gonna let you know how.
Gotta be quick.
Cherie, you don't have to worry about getting a PlayStation any longer. You can always get an Xbox and play your PlayStation games on it.
There you go. I have
wait,
big
wait,
And your
hat.
Sinead,
Nintendo.
I gotta give you the Pelosi clap.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
The Pelosi clap. That's what happens when you have arthritis and you're 80 years old. That's how you have to clap when you're 80 years old and you have arthritis.
Thank you, y'all. I'll be here
She's
all week.
retiring. Y'all know she's retiring, right? She's
That was
retiring.
no, she,
You know?
Pelosi ain't retiring.
She said she's retiring. She
She's
made
an
her
elf.
$200 million. She's out
She's
the
an elf.
game.
Like,
Mm.
she hasn't aged a day. Like, you notice how everybody else seem to be like, like they get into politics and they immediately get gray hair and
Yeah.
get all old and crusty.
She been
Pelosi
this
been
old. She been this
chilling,
old
man.
wicked white
Yeah, she's
woman
going
forever.
nowhere. Please don't go anywhere, Pelosi.
Yes. Yeah. All right.
Well, let's talk about some other things really quick. So we didn't get into games last week, but a lot of games came out over the last 2 weeks,
Goodness.
and I wonder if anybody picked up Resident Evil Village.
I haven't picked it up yet. I want to play this, but I haven't had any time yet.
I will be picking that up.
Okay.
Like I'm a sucker for I love Resident Evil games. All right. Like listen, I worked at Capcom for 4.5 years. Travis, I know is like we've already heard. Travis, we've already heard
Yeah.
from you about why you don't like Resident Evil. I love Resident Evil games. When I worked at Capcom, I actually helped out with Resident Evil 5, and I remember I was such a big fan of Resident Evil 5. I'm like, well, I'm helping out with testing it, but how do I not get spoiled to the ending because I wanted to play it? And so I'm super excited about Resident Evil Village. I will be clearing that off my calendar as soon as I get through. I just finished what's it called? Astrobot, the
That's your
PS5
about. Yeah,
package.
it's amazing, right?
I'm gonna jump into Returnal and then Resident Evil.
Are you gonna skip over Miles? You're gonna.
Yeah, I got to talk about that.
Okay, we'll talk about that one day. But yes, so Resident Evil 5, Returnal came out. And I don't know if I want to play Returnal because I hear it's like a Souls game and I'm like getting my ass kicked in video games.
Is
I
it as
wanna
hard as a Souls
win.
game, Travis? No, I'm serious. Like I've not I've heard it's hard, but I don't know if it's
So-
like
so
punishing
here's-
hard.
yeah, I mean, I enjoy the moment-to-moment gameplay in Returnal. I really do. Although I just think that the it's punishing.
I hear it's Dead Space meets the Souls game. And I was like, why do I want to play any of that?
And and we were talking about this earlier, where I have a classification for games like this that I call my sweet brown. And if everyone remembers, like
Sweet Brown, what's the Sweet Brown game, Travis?
Well, Sweet Brown is is the lady who became famous on YouTube for saying ain't nobody got time for that,
Mhm.
right? And
Mhm.
and I can't I can't
I can't right now.
I can't, like, when I play through a game, right, and
Mhm.
it's challenging, give me a save, right? Because I don't have time to replay this damn level
Yeah.
over and over and over again,
Hold on, there's no
right?
auto save. There's no save.
No,
It's
dog,
old
like
school. It's old
it's
school.
old
School.
school, right?
It's
And
got
if you,
autosave, right? In between levels or something, but
well,
not
yeah, but that's not
um,
really a
That's
it's a
not
save.
roguelike.
when you put
It's a
40,
roguelike.
40 when you put 40 minutes into a level and you die. You're like, what? I can't get
Oh
those
yeah,
40
that will
minutes.
happen. That
Yeah.
will happen in
Yeah.
Returnal. Trust me.
So does Returnal get your Sweet Brown rating?
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Mm,
Oh
okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's top of my. Well. See, here's the thing, right? And I thought about this. Shanae and I talked about this before, and I said that my problem with Returnal is that we're all familiar with the metaphor, the carrot and the stick,
Yep.
right? And I think that the stick is too long, okay, and the carrot is too small for me in this particular game. Like, I don't feel like the juice is worth the squeeze, right? And
Mm.
so the accomplishment that I get for actually beating this level is not enough for me to go through
Mm.
it an hour at a time every single time, because I know how to play an action game. I have fun when I'm shooting aliens. I don't have fun when I'm shooting aliens over and over and over again on the same damn level, and the thing about it is seriously, like, there are pickups in Returnal that generally, like, really screw with you, like it's like, oh, you pick up this pickup, but it's going to screw with you. Why would I do that?
There's no
Why
benefit of
would
the
I do
pickup.
that,
Word?
right? Yeah, and so I just said, this game,
Hmm.
and props to Shanae for making me, or bringing to the fact that I was genderizing this, but it's a crotch kicking game,
Mm.
right? It's
Mm.
like, I'm gonna kick you in the pants. I'm gonna kick you in the
I
pants.
got
I'm
a
gonna
game
kick
for
you in
you,
the pants. And
Travis.
I don't. I look. I don't pay $60 to be punished. I don't. I
Me
pay
neither.
$60,
Pays much more.
so that I can live in an alternate world and be better than who I am.
In real life. Yep.
Reminding me that I suck.
Uh huh.
I'm not playing your game.
Uh huh.
It's $70 now, Travis. By
Yeah, I'm
the
so
It's
yeah,
way.
$70 now.
yeah.
Yeah.
It truly was.
Yeah.
But still,
Yeah,
still,
yeah.
it's still
I
better
know.
than
ten
$10.
dollars more to get
$10.
kicked in the pants.
Yeah.
$10
Yeah.
more.
They had to put the steel toe into that book, that the boot that's kicking you in the crotch. There.
I'm good. I'm good.
Okay, I got a game for you to play, Travis. That will make you feel good. That after you play Returnal, Pokemon Snap. It just came out.
There you go. Right there.
Right there, Travis. You play Pokemon Snap. I'm pretty sure you can play it
Nintendo
and
game.
beat
Travis
it.
doesn't want that.
You see that face he's
Still got it,
making?
right?
He knew it. He knew. You can take pictures because obviously you're such a weak gamer that you got to take pictures of
No, no.
creatures that are
Okay.
minding their damn business.
Okay, we're not gonna talk bad about Pokemon Snap,
No, I
y'all.
mean, no, that's I'm just saying. I'm
Now,
talking about Travis's gameplay
oh, Travis,
ability.
okay, that's
You
fine.
know,
That's
you
fine.
know,
Okay.
you know, you know.
Travis, are you gonna answer this challenge?
Look,
I can't wait to pick up Pokemon Snap.
I am not.
I can't wait to pick up Pokemon Snap.
you haven't picked it
Yeah.
up. I figured you
I haven't
two
picked
would
it up
have
yet.
it. I
I
was
haven't picked it
excited
up
to
yet.
talk about this with you all because I haven't played it yet. I haven't ordered it. I walked into the game store. I was like, "Yo, can I pick up Pokemon Snap?" They're like, "It's sold out." I was like, "What?"
Well, first of all,
Digital
Charles,
never sells out.
first of all, yeah,
What?
we just got finished talking a whole damn episode about digital distribution, and you walking into a store for some
Man,
Pokemon Snap.
man, it's
Boy, if you
Nintendo,
don't get
dog.
your ass to
I
the
still
digital
buy
stores.
cartridges for Nintendo, dog. Nintendo gets my cartridge money.
Okay.
Nintendo gets my cartridge money.
Yeah.
As soon as
Well,
I bought
okay,
my
I
first
tell you what,
Switch
then you let us know when you found it. All right, how about that?
As soon as I bought my first Switch cartridge and saw how little that doggone thing was, I'm like, no, I'm not doing this anymore.
Exactly.
I'm not. So I own one Nintendo cartridge, which is The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, by the way. It's been in my console for 5 years. Like, it's just in there. Everything else is digital. Because I'm like, I can't do this.
Yeah,
I
I
have a
mean,
little.
Pokemon Snap may be the first one I buy digital. Well, I buy games.
Okay,
I
well,
buy
if
like Grease. I buy a lot of indie games digital. I buy every
Well, that's
indie
fair.
game,
That's fair.
but I
That's
don't
if I
buy.
get Pokemon Snap, will you guys be quiet?
Yes. No.
Yes. No. Temporarily.
Yeah, till next week maybe.
Until you start playing Animal Crossing, dog. Get your Animal Crossing out. Summer's
Play
been
it,
begging
Travis.
people
We'll
to
all
go to
play
her
it together.
island.
It'll be
My
great.
kid plays Animal Crossing. I don't play that.
It'll be great. I mean, honestly, like like I love games like like your Returnals and your, we just talked like Astro, but like all these. I love Ghost of Tsushima and all these kinds of games that are like these sort of
I don't own
big
that. I gotta get
events.
that.
But you know what? I love games also that just give me a way of interacting with the world with something besides a gun, with something besides
Sure.
a knife.
Sure.
And so, like, I'm super excited about Pokemon Snap because I'm like, yeah, you know what? I do want to take pictures of cute little
Yeah,
Pokemon
me too. I'm
creatures and
excited about
stuff.
it. I never
I'm,
played the
I'm with
original one because
that.
I was a Sega kid.
Wait. So you just go around and take pictures?
Yeah, it's called Pokemon Snap, man. Take
They don't
pictures of
fight?
Pokemon. I mean, sometimes they do,
They
and
do.
depending on when you take the picture, right? That's
May
the
cause
thing.
an
They
event.
fight
Because they're
you?
just no, they're fighting. They're living life. You're out there.
Yeah,
with
they're living their life,
Pokemon.
man.
Like
It's like
you're
going
a
on a
nature,
Do they
safari.
sign waivers?
you're a nature photographer, man.
You're a
Do they
nature
sign
photographer.
waivers though?
They're wild Pokemon. They ain't got they don't subscribe to our human rules.
Yeah, man.
So
You
it's
know,
okay if you tag them?
Yeah, you can tag them
they
in your
may be
photos.
doing unspeakable gaming type things if you catch
Do
them
you
in the
ask
picture.
Pixel when you tag him in your photos? Pixel is Travis's dog. Do you ask Pixel, is
No.
it okay? Did he sign a
No.
waiver?
No.
Okay, well you need to apologize to him.
Nah, his vet
Mhm.
bills are crazy. No, thank you.
Well, also, you guys, if since y'all have PS5s, we can play Genshin Impact together.
Ooh,
It's on PS5 too.
I will download it.
I
And my
will-
sister
And
will go over-
Cherie, you can play on your iPad. We can all play together. I heard it's crossplay, right? I think it's crossplay across everything.
We
or
go.
if it's
Maybe,
not, it may
potentially.
be after this episode is done.
It's on. I can do PS4. It's on PS4 too.
It is on
Yeah.
PS4.
So we
Yeah.
can do crossplay potentially.
Potential.
We have to get to level 16, but you can do crossplay at level 16.
16.
It's like
Okay.
something high. You get there, you get up there fast.
That's
I'm
fine.
on like level 7, but it is Breath of the Wild on steroids.
There's too many good games that are out there now.
There are a
and I
lot of
just,
good
picking up
games.
another console, like it's just added to my backlog of things I need to play now. Like I'm
Man,
playing Returnal next, for nothing more than it is currently
I
in
got-
the public like discussionosphere,
Mhm.
and so I want to talk with folks about
I
it.
have R
All right,
type.
I warned you.
Hard
Mhm.
type.
I've been forewarned.
I'm watch R type. Yeah, so I'm excited. We should play.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anything? What are y'all playing right now? Since we're talking about what are you playing, we'll close with this.
Well, I was trying to play Returnal.
You're gonna go back to
Returnal is my jam.
the crystal
I felt
dynamic
like
game.
I felt like I wanted to Returnal to the store, but it was a digital store, so they got my money. So they ain't nothing.
What's the game that's not working that we all want to play? The Square Enix game, the
Oh, Outriders.
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 Yeah, you can go back
I
to
don't know.
Outriders.
I need to check and see because I really liked that game, but the first like boss was like kicking my butt, and I needed other people to help me in a group fashion, but their crossplay was like completely screwed. So,
I haven't gotten to their first boss yet. I just got my first power.
All right, maybe that sounds like that's a game. Maybe that Genshin Impact. We need to get
Yep.
some, we need to get
You
games
get-
together,
yeah.
y'all.
We'll go on Twitch and play. Yeah,
I'll do it.
yeah. And go visit each other in Animal Crossing since
No.
Travis is not there.
And then take some pictures of some beautiful Pokemon in
Pictures
the
of
wild,
Pokemon.
man.
Yeah,
Come on,
man.
Travis.
Yeah,
Get with this.
yeah.
Oh, man.
I mentioned I just finished Astrobot. Like literally last night I finished.
I haven't
Astrobot.
finished it, but I love that game. I won't
great.
finish it. I keep doing the same things over and over again. I'm addicted.
I gotta get all the artifacts for my Labo and stuff like that. If you
Mhm.
guys don't know, like it has all the artifacts are like it's like walking through like the history of Sony PlayStation,
Mm-hmm.
and it's fantastic. I got like tiny little models of the PS1, the PS2 Slim, the camera, the
Mhm.
TV tuner for the PSP. It's pretty great. It's pretty
They
great.
shouted out my game in that night.
They sure did, Travis.
I
I took a
was- I
picture of
was-
it. I was gonna send it to you.
I was happy to see
Yep.
that.
They sure did. I was like, oh,
I was like,
literally,
oh.
I literally did take a picture. I was gonna send to you, Travis.
What do you-
I'll send it
what
to
do
you
you-
anyway.
I would say Cherie's playing something, but she's doing art. She's playing
I-
art.
I am playing art. I am playing Breath of the Wild when I actually have time.
Nice.
Replaying it, I should say.
Nice.
But yeah.
Yes.
So- So Cherie, I was, you usually show us like some of your drawings, and I was like, you should show the drawing that that I commissioned from you because a lot of people don't realize how badass you are. And
Nice,
so,
yeah.
uh,
That's
yes.
not the drawing yard. That's her face.
Like,
I
yeah,
will.
like
I will. Say,
this.
But I
So
would understand if Travis commissioned that piece of art too.
so yeah, so
Mhm, mhm.
so for our anniversary, Cherie was awesome enough to do a piece for me and my lady, and it's all framed up in our living room. But please show it, Cherie,
yeah,
because
I'll show
it
the. I'll show the
is
piece that I put right here.
it's really cool.
All right.
Oh yeah, here it comes.
Show it, show it.
There it is. Sketchbook.
All right.
Wow.
So yeah, I love working in charcoal and in like chalk pastels. So that's what this was. This all chalk pastel. I did for Travis. So I was very honored
Oh,
that you asked
this
me
is
to do.
real media. This is not digital
Yeah,
media.
yeah, that's not digital.
Real is the wrong word, but sorry, physical media.
Yeah,
Physical.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. That's my favorite to work in, frankly. Which I mean, with the exception of watercolor, because watercolor is kicking my butt right now. But I do love working like in the chalk pastel and pencil and pen and whatever. So
Yeah,
I
and the
was
funny part is, I
gonna.
really should have the halo, and Jennifer should have the horns.
You
That's
both.
how I said that.
I cannot speak for Jennifer, but I know you definitely should have horns. You should have horns.
I know both of them, and I think this is accurate.
Yes. Whatever.
Yeah,
So yeah,
that was an amazing picture.
in future episodes of Technubian, don't let Cherie's chibis fool you. Like she is full on the real deal.
Super. She does oil paintings, and I'm like, wow. She does watercolor. I'm like, wow. People don't understand watercolor is just throwing paint on the paper and let it make a mess.
And hoping it dries
And
right.
hope it dries right. Yep.
That
Awesome.
I'm hoping it dries right much of the time when I'm working watercolor.
Shanae, what are you playing?
Oh, I mentioned I was playing Astrobot.
Astrobot.
I
Yeah,
finished
you
it
just
last
finished
night.
it. Yep.
hmm
What are you playing
hmm
next? Oh, so you're gonna
I
play
will. I will play Returnal
Returnal.
next. I will definitely play Returnal next.
You,
Cause I bought it already, so I gotta try it,
oh,
Travis.
okay.
I
Okay.
gotta boot it up at the
I don't
very
know why
least.
you bought it. I read the review and was like, nope, not for me.
I,
Not
you
for me.
know,
Not me, Ricky Bobby.
I like roguelikes. That's the thing, and there's still a part of me that remembers the old days, the good old days when I was really good at games, and I
hmm
enjoyed those sort of like punishing, super challenging sort of things like the Capcom
hmm
hard games. That was a past me for
You
the
had
most
time for
part.
that. It
Yeah,
wasn't
I
sweet
had time
brain.
for it, but now it's like I still kind of like this. I like to try it out every once in a while. It's sort of like
Okay.
like I haven't typically played those games in the last like 5 years or so,
hmm
and I'm like, you know what? Sure, I'll buy one real quick and
Good
see
on you.
see if I'm this is where I'm at right now. If I'm not, there's plenty of other things for me to play, like
Pokemon Snap.
Pokemon Snap.
Yeah.
Can,
True.
can I can I can I can I want to speak to that just for a hot second though.
Mhm.
I think what it is nowadays, because when we achieve something, we want to share it, right? We want other people to see it.
hmm
And when you have a single player game that is punishing hard, right? Like, and the only thing you really have to show for it is like your own personal experience or maybe some trophies. I don't know whether or not that's enough for me, right? And so for me, I'm like, so I beat this tough game. Now what? Right? I mean,
Travis, if I
honestly,
tell
like,
you that you're a cool person in real life and you don't need a game to validate you,
yeah, I do because that's why I
oh
play
man,
MMOs. I play MMOs.
I
Play
tried, man.
MMOs. I play MMOs exactly for that reason. Because when you play MMO and you have conquered some really hard stuff, you usually have some loot to show for it, right?
hmm
And when you go to public places in the MMO and you put on your cool stuff, people are like, "You're cool. You got this item or that item."
Hey,
hmm
that's fair. We all play games for
Okay.
different reasons and stuff,
Yep.
right? Like, and so like that's why I really enjoy picking up and just trying out a wide variety of games because
Yeah. Just see
your
if I
tastes
like it or
change,
not.
just like your actual taste, but your tastes change and stuff.
hmm hmm
And at this point in my life, I'm like, well, let me try something out that I liked before and see if I still like it, or if I don't, Pokemon Snap.
We'll end
Report
on
back.
that. We'll
I
Report
end
will.
on
back.
that.
Yes.
So for y'all that are listening, game developers play all an assortment of games. Don't listen to game developers who only play one type of game. Don't listen to that person. That person's a fan trying to make a game.
Yes.
That's not a game developer. With that said, we'll end the show. Shout out to Digital Click for the creative that you provide us on every show. If you want to learn more about techn00bians, hit us up at www.techn00bians.com. That's techn00bians.com. Please follow us here on Twitch. And if you like what we're doing, you feeling our vibe, please think about subscribing to our channel. And if you have Amazon Prime, that means you have Prime Gaming. You can subscribe to this channel, and you should. And also, please follow us on all our socials. Search the Geekish Network on all major platforms. We're there if we're not already there, and if we're not on one, let us know. For the remainder of the week, we have Pod Squadron tonight. Or I think they're talking about the Bad Batch. It's the Star Wars podcast. Yeah, so they're talking about the Bad Batch. And we have Nerdtastic, where they're still going over Lord of the Rings, and it's a deep dive in Lord of the Rings. Until then, we'll see you next week. Peace.
Everyone.